When you work out, you're probably thinking about things like calories, or reps, or building muscle. But what if I told you that underneath all that, there's this hidden, secret conversation happening inside your body? A really powerful story being told in the language of hormones. Well, today, we're going to decode that story.
So let's just get right into it. We all get the basics, right? Your heart starts pounding, you're breathing harder, your muscles are burning. But what's the command system behind all of that? How does your body actually get the message to grow stronger?
You got it. It really all boils down to this incredible chemical conversation. Think of your workout as the trigger, and your hormones are the messengers, zipping around, delivering super important instructions to all your cells. And in this explainer, we kind of get to be a fly on the wall and listen in.
Okay, so first things first, let's lay down the basics. The connection between how you move your body and what your hormones do, it's incredibly direct. And one of the biggest players in this whole drama, especially for men, is testosterone.
Yeah, testosterone is absolutely key. I mean, this definition from Northwestern medicine says it all. It's the hormone that's famous for building muscle and strength, but it also has a huge impact on your mood and your energy. And it turns out, exercise is one of the best natural ways to get it in check.
But here's where it gets interesting. Not all exercise sends the same signal. Lifting weights, resistance training, puts that direct stress on your muscles, which basically tells your body, hey, we need more testosterone to repair this. HIIT, with those short, crazy intense bursts, does something pretty similar. And even just moderate cardio has a role to play, because it helps you manage your body fat, which is a huge factor for keeping testosterone levels healthy. But here is the catch, and it is a big one. More isn't always better. Like Dr. Bennett says here, there's a definite sweet spot. If you push way too hard for way too long without enough rest, you actually just stress your body out, and that can cause your testosterone to plummet. So that brings up a really fascinating question, right? How does your body's response actually change as you get more and more fit?
And to answer that, we're going to dive into this fantastic study from the National Institutes of Health. What these researchers did was look at exactly how a super-trained, elite athlete's body responds to stress compared to someone who's just, a regular active person. And the results, well, it's like a tale of two totally different hormonal stories.
The setup for this study is just perfect. On one side, you've got these elite gymnasts. I mean, these guys train 30 hours a week. Their bodies are just profoundly adapted to insane physical stress. And on the other side, you've got physically active university students. So healthy guys who work out, but they don't have that crazy elite-level conditioning.
And the test they put them through? Whoa, it was brutal. It's called the Wingate anaerobic test. Just imagine getting on a special kind of arm bike and going as hard as you possibly can, all out, for 30 seconds straight. It is just a massive shock to the system, and it's designed specifically to trigger a huge hormonal response. So what happened? Let's look at the results. First up, human growth hormone, or HGH. Just look at this graph. The gymnast's bodies fired back with a whopping 170% higher concentration of HGH. It's like their systems were totally primed and ready to use that stress as a signal to grow and repair. Next up, testosterone. And we see a pretty similar pattern here. The gymnasts had a 15% higher spike. It's just a much more efficient muscle-building response. Their bodies are basically saying, all right, stress detected, let's get to building. But this right here is probably the most crucial piece of the puzzle. Take a look at cortisol, the main stress hormone. The control group's cortisol levels just shot through the roof. Meanwhile, the gymnast's response was 19% lower. So the less trained bodies saw the test as a major threat and flooded the system with stress hormones. The elite bodies saw it as a challenge it was ready for, and it kept that destructive stress response under control. It's a perfect illustration of adaptation.
But wait, the story gets even weirder. The researchers also looked at everyone's baseline vitamin D levels, and they stumbled onto something completely unexpected, a surprising little factor that seems to be influencing this whole hormonal conversation.
Now, you gotta check this out because it's totally counterintuitive. In the control group, so the non-elite guys, having higher vitamin D levels was actually linked to a worse hormonal response. We're talking a higher cortisol spike and a lower testosterone spike. Now, the study doesn't guess why this is happening, but it just goes to show you how complex this all is. Nutrients don't exist in a vacuum. Their effect can be totally different depending on how trained you are.
Okay, so we've seen the big picture, the hormones flooding your system. But that just leads to the next question, doesn't it? How do those messages actually translate into muscle repair and growth? What is the mechanism happening right there, inside the muscle fiber itself? To answer that, you need to meet a little-known but super important molecule called mechanogrowth factor, or MGF. You can think of this thing as the local hero of muscle repair.
So what exactly is MGF? Well, it's a unique version of its more famous cousin, insulin-like growth factor 1. But here's the key difference. Unlike IGF-1, which just circulates all over your body, MGF is made right there in the muscle and only when it senses that mechanical stress and damage from your workout. It is a direct, local response to the work you just put in.
Okay, think of it like this. MGF is the first responder. It's the first one to show up at the scene of the muscle damage. Its main job is to wake up these dormant muscle stem cells, they're called satellite cells, and tell them to start multiplying. It sounds the alarm. Then, mature IGF-1 comes in, and it's the builder. It's like the construction crew that takes all those new cells and helps them mature and fuse onto the damaged muscle fibers, making them bigger and stronger than before. So here is how the whole process plays out, step by step. 1. Your workout causes tiny bits of damage. 2. That damage immediately triggers the local release of MGF. 3. MGF wakes up the repair crew, those satellite cells. And finally, 4. The main builder, IGF-1, comes in and oversees the whole reconstruction project. MGF is that critical first domino that has to fall to kick the whole growth process off.
Okay, so let's zoom back out and put all these pieces together. We've gone from these big systemic hormones flooding your body all the way down to a single molecule working inside a single muscle cell. Let's build a clear blueprint from everything we just learned.
So if we put it all together, your personal hormonal blueprint kind of looks like this. It all begins with the stimulus, your workout. Then your level of adaptation determines whether your body sees that as a challenge or a threat. Then you've got these modulators like your nutrient status that can influence the conversation. But at the end of the day, the real magic, the growth, starts inside the muscle, with MGF kicking off that cellular repair crew.
And that really brings us to the final thought here. You now have this incredible glimpse into the hormonal and cellular conversation that's happening every single time you train. You get the difference between a stress response and a growth response. So the real question is, now that you know the science, how are you going to approach your next workout?